Okay, let's jump right in. The big twist in this deep dive, the central, really counterintuitive finding, is that the genetic risk from older fathers isn't just about random mistakes building up over time.
No, not at all.
It's actually driven by something happening inside the father's own body, a kind of positive, selfish selection that actively enriches his sperm for certain mutations.
Exactly. Historically, we thought of these de novo mutations as, just random replication errors, unlucky mistakes.
Right.
But this research forces a total reframe. The male germline is this constantly self-renewing ecosystem of stem cells.
Okay.
So if one of those stem cells gets a mutation that gives it a slight edge, a growth or survival advantage, that cell line starts to expand. It basically outcompetes its neighbors.
So it's like a garden where some weeds are just better at growing, even if those weeds are ultimately bad for the seeds you're trying to produce?
That's a great way to put it. And the problem in studying this has always been the technology, right?
The signal is just too weak.
Exactly. These mutations are rare. They're often lurking below a 1% frequency. So to get past the noise of normal sequencing errors, the researchers use this ultra-accurate method called nanosec.
Like a high-powered filter.
Precisely. So the first question they asked was, pretty logical. Does this germline tissue age like the rest of the body? Like blood, for instance?
And what did they find?
Well, they found that mutations built up much, much more slowly in sperm than in blood. About 7.6 times more slowly, in fact.
Wow. So that confirms the germline is, in a way, protected.
It is. But, and this is the key thing, the fundamental aging signatures are still there. So that raises the question, if it's so protected, why does disease risk still go up with age?
And that's where the selection comes in.
That's where selection comes in. The next step was to pinpoint which specific genes were being selected for inside the testes. They used deep sequencing and a statistical test, a D/DS ratio, to find the evolutionary hotspots.
Okay, so you have these spermatogonial stem cells, and they're always balancing two jobs, making more of themselves and producing actual sperm. So my question for you is, where in that process would a selective mutation be most effective? Where would it get the most bang for its buck?
That is the perfect question.
Yeah.
And the data confirmed it. Selection acts early, right in the differentiated spermatogonial stem cells.
So it has the maximum amount of time to expand its population.
Exactly. And they found 40 genes under significant selection. 31 of them were completely new. But here's the really fascinating part. 30 of those 31 new genes were enriched for loss-of-function mutations.
Okay, hang on. That sounds completely backwards. Why would losing a function give a cell an advantage?
I know, it's counterintuitive. But a simple way to think about it is that a lot of these genes normally act as brakes on cell division. They're part of pathways like RAS-MAPK or WNT. So by knocking out the gene, by losing its function, you're essentially cutting the brakes on that stem cell. It can now divide faster and outcompete all its neighbors.
Even though that same genetic change could cause a serious developmental disorder in the next generation.
Precisely. So what does all this internal competition mean for, real-world risk?
Yeah, what's the bottom line?
When they aggregated all the data, the effect was huge. This germline selection drives a 2 to 3-fold enrichment in likely disease-causing mutations.
2 to 3 times what you'd expect just by chance.
Yes. For example, they saw that for a 70-year-old man, about 4.5% of his sperm carried one of these likely pathogenic mutations. The neutral expectation was only 1.6%.
That is a massive difference. The innovation here feels pretty profound. It's taking this idea of selfish selection from a sort of niche theory to a broad, quantifiable principle of male biology.
It absolutely is. And it has immediate implications for things like genetic counseling. For instance, sometimes in developmental disorder studies, you'd see excess mutations in a gene like MIB1 and just assume that was the cause.
Right, case closed.
But these findings suggest, well, maybe it's just reflecting this really strong selection bias in the germline. That's vital for knowing which genes to prioritize for future research.
So let's recap the 3 key takeaways here. First, this isn't a rare thing. Positive selection is pervasive. We're talking 40 driver genes identified.
Right. Second, this selection isn't neutral. It actively inflates the risk of passing on a disease-causing mutation by 2 to 3 times.
And third, there's this fascinating tension. The very genes that are favored by selection inside the sperm lineage are often the same ones that are strongly selected against in the wider human population.
A true evolutionary conflict. And we should probably mention this work focused on smaller mutations, SNVs and indels. We still need more work on, say, larger structural variants.
A great point. So this deep dive shows that in men over 50, something like 3 to 5% of their sperm carry a likely disease-causing mutation driven by this selection. Which leaves me with this final thought for you to chew on. What does it mean for human evolution that this active evolutionary tug of war is constantly happening inside the male germline?
Welcome to the Everyday Journal Club. I'm Hope, a biologist with 15 years of research experience, now fortunate to be working in a Nobel Prize winning lab. This channel has three main goals. One, to help you stay effortlessly updated on the latest scientific breakthroughs. No paywalls, no jargon overload. Two, to build a supportive community where we can exchange the most valuable experience-based research advice. Three, to share valuable strategies and concrete examples on how to achieve meaningful scientific breakthroughs. Once we reach 1,000 subscribers, I'll begin releasing content focused on the third goal. Let's go! Let's make great science together.